Greetings once again, friends, live from Retro Central. My name is Peter, and welcome back to Consolation. As always, I hope that you enjoy what you're about to see and hear. I always appreciate you taking the time to check out my work. It means a lot. Beware I live. A quote from Sinistar, and also something that's pertinent to me. As you probably are aware, I've been absent from video making for the last couple of weeks. I've had some health challenges to the point where over the last 4 or 5 days, it's been mostly bed rest. Thankfully, I'm starting to bounce back now. I'm feeling about 70%, which is certainly better than I was. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to resume regular video content starting next week. So I apologize for being away for so long. I really wanted to follow up with more takes about E3, although I did write something about E3 on Consolation.com. But hopefully my health will continue to improve so I can get back to making videos on a regular clip. So that's what's going on with the update part of it. Today's video is not necessarily a Summer PlayStation video. It's certainly not a Consolation episode, but rather a pickups video. These are the easiest to do to help me get back on the horse. And I've been wanting to show a lot of the games that I've picked up over the last month. I just haven't really had the time to do so, so I'm going to do so now. I'm going to talk about 2 different stops that I made over the last. It's really been 5 weeks since I've been video game hunting. I made 2 trips to a store called Retro Games Plus, the Newington, Connecticut location, and I made 1 trip to the Salvation Army in Agawam, Mass, which are where these games came from. I'm going to go over these first. All right. These were $2 a piece, so it was hard to say no to these. Driver. 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago now, Driver used to be in demo stations at the Funko Land that I worked at and managed. Very popular game. People loved it. I tried to play the tutorial both during downtime at work and also off duty, and I could never beat it. So consequently, if you can't beat the damn tutorial, why would you spend $50 on the game, right? So I never did. So when I saw this at the Salvation Army, I go, $2. Sure, I'll go ahead and I'll give it a shot. Wouldn't you know it, I still suck at it today. Moving on. I'm not going to let Driver get me mad. Not today. Here's No Fear Downhill Mountain Bike Racing. Say that 3 times fast. I've not had a chance to play it yet, so I really can't give any opinions on it, except break arm courses, break leg jumps, break wrist tricks. Sounds painful, I guess. This here is Gran Turismo, which has all the documentation in it, plus a disc that is picture perfect. I originally got this disc from Pat the NES Punk as part of his Indiegogo pre-order promotion, where I got my PlayStation, my PS1 system from. But I got the disc only, so now I have disc as well as all the documentation, and that's kind of cool to have. You probably know what Gran Turismo is. If you don't by now, really quickly, it's a driving simulation game that's considered to be one of the best of its kind. It was certainly groundbreaking back in its time, and if you look at it today, although it looks a little bit rough, you can understand why it was so impressive. Some of the car models still look fantastic. Here is South Park. Now, you're looking over here at Bubsy 3D and you're going, why do you have that in your library even? Well, I have a soft spot for games sometimes that people hate or that people can't stand. A lot of the times because I have to see why they're so bad, but the other part of it is because sometimes I actually enjoy these games. I can't explain why. Now, Bubsy 3D, I can't really tell you that I enjoy because, well, the control is pretty tough. But South Park for the 64 and now for the PlayStation is a game I admit to kind of having a guilty pleasure thing going on with. Perhaps it's the silly turkey sounds, perhaps it's the characters, perhaps it's just the goofiness of it all. But I like these games, and to be honest, this game runs pretty well. certainly runs better than the port of Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 that got ported from the 64 to the PlayStation, which did not turn out as great. This game is actually okay. And then the crown jewel of the visit. The thing that if I had walked out with nothing else, I'm glad I found this. This is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And not only does this have the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis disc and the manual in there, but it also has the Dino Crisis demo disc too. All for $2. If you look on price charting, it goes for 10 times that. So that's not too bad for $2. As far as the game itself, it's pretty interesting. I am not very good with Resident Evil games, but finding this for so cheap has me considering looking for the other games and adding them to my library and giving them the honest-to-goodness college try. Granted, I do stink at them. I really do. I'm not good at the tank controls. I'm certainly terrible at item management, but I want to understand why everyone likes these so much. And the only way to find out is just to keep plugging away at them. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So those are from the Salvation Army in Agawam, Massachusetts. $2 a piece. Can't beat them. And I have been going to that location for, gosh, I've been going there for well over a year. And the last thing that I found there was about 10 months ago, where I found this red original PlayStation controller, which comes in handy now, with it being the summer of PlayStation and all. But that was the last thing that I had found that was game-related. And then I happened to go in there that one day, and all of those PlayStation games are there. So let that be a lesson to you. Every trip you make to a thrift store is not going to be productive, but the few times that they are, almost always makes it worth it to stop in there when you can. Okay, so let's talk about Retro Games Plus. This location is about an hour away from me, so again, it's not some place that I can just get up and drive to whenever I want to. Going down to the store means that I have to have a reasonable amount of money with me, which is a rarity these days, or a reasonable amount of trade-ins, which I really don't have any of those left. So I don't know the next time I'm going to be back down there, but I'll tell you, for those of you that do have money or trade-ins, that's the place to go. Because not only do they have games, but they also have Nintendo Power magazines, strategy guides, t-shirts, accessories, consoles. Heck, I got PlayStation 1, like the original PlayStation console I bought from them, because the PS1 that I had wasn't working so well, and this thing's been working fantastically since I bought it. So I can't recommend them enough. And while I'm talking about Retro Games Plus, I do want to mention that they happen to be one of the entities that's sponsoring Retro World Expo, which is October 3rd, just 3 months from tomorrow. They're a fantastic chain of stores. And as a matter of fact, one of the store employees, not at the location I visited, but in another location, his name's Russ Lyman. He has a fantastic video game related YouTube channel of his own, which I'll link in the about area below. I do recommend that you check it out because his game hunting videos are actually really, really good. And you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that he can find. So make sure that you check that out. Russ, you're awesome, dude. Okay. So let's talk about the games that I picked up from Newington. And in doing so, I'm going to show you this pile first. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these here, these are all sports games, all of them, ranging from Cool Borders to NBA in the Zone to NFL Game Day. These are all games that nobody wants but me. And why do I want them? Well, I'm glad that you didn't ask. I am a contributing editor for a site called HitThePass.com, which just rolled out recently, which talks about sports video games, both retro and modern. And I'm working alongside a fantastic staff of people who are excellent at what they do. And it was an honor to be asked to be part of the project. I've actually posted my first work within the last couple of weeks, and I'll be submitting something there soon, as soon as I am feeling even better. But buying games like this are research for me, because talking about older video games, the PlayStation is part of that now, at least it is to me. And the PlayStation is one of the systems that really solidified my love of sports games, to be quite honest. Back in 1995, when I bought NBA Jam Tournament Edition. That was really the first sports game that I had bought and really loved for a system, aside from the Jam titles for Genesis. And I not only wound up buying sports games for the PlayStation and other systems forward, but I wound up filling in gaps and buying sports games from the past for older systems like the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. So PlayStation sports games are important to me, and I'll be talking more about those on Consolation.com at a later date. I know sports games aren't popular with everybody, but for me, they're a big part of my identity, and I love them to death. So one person's trash or other people's trash being these sports games, or another person's treasure, which is me. But I won't go over all of those. I will go over the games that I think a lot of you will be more interested in. Let's talk a couple of Sega CD games first. And these are both influenced by YouTube personalities. First, Solfease. If you've watched the Angry Video Game Nerd's Sega CD review, James called this Solfeases, although that was in jest. He actually had good things to say about the game. So when I saw it on the store shelf, I knew that, to quote Billy from the Game Chasers, I had to have it. I haven't played it yet, however, because I've been under the weather, but am looking forward to putting this shooter / shoot 'em up / STG / shmup through its paces. I can't wait to try it. Matter of fact, I might do that this afternoon. And then, thanks to Joe Walker, also known as Space Kappa on YouTube, this is Hook for the Sega CD. Joe had a lot of good things to say about Hook, talked very positively about this particular version, so I had to give it a whirl, and especially at $10 with 50% off, so $5 for this, it was hard to say no. I know it's loose, I know it's not complete. That doesn't bother me like it does some other collectors. Not to go in a completely different tangent, but loose games, as long as they work, are fine by me. I have a CD wallet, like a booklet, full of 400 discs that all work just fine. They just don't have the manual or the case. And that's perfectly fine with me. I don't have room to store 400 or 500 games full of cases and such. So loose games, good by me. As long as the discs are in good shape and they run, I'd like to have the manual if I could, but the game is the most important thing. And again, thanks to Joe, aka Space Kappa, for the suggestion on this. You'll find one other game later on that another YouTuber influenced me to buy. YouTuber, I know that sounds kind of iffy, but YouTube personalities, YouTube friends, content creators, what have you. All right, let's talk about other PlayStation games. This is Assault Retribution from Midway. This was from 1998. This game is basically an inoffensive alien version of Contra. It takes about an hour or two to get through. Not the longest campaign, but something you can certainly play for fun on a rainy afternoon. Not going to set the world on fire, but not the worst game I've ever played either. And surprisingly, this puts the two Contra games on the PlayStation to shame. So what does that tell you? It tells you the PlayStation Contras sucked. That's what it tells you. All right. These next two games are certainly more topical now than they were when I bought them. This is the Dukes of Hazzard Racing for Home. And this is the Dukes of Hazzard 2, Daisy Dukes It Out. Now, when I bought these in early June, none of this crazy stuff with the Confederate flag had happened yet. It has now. And there's a lot of controversy going on, which I really don't want to speak to because that's just not what I'm about. But the fact that the shows are no longer being played in reruns, and the fact that Warner Brothers seek to sanitize the toy model, makes me wonder what the value on these games might be at a later date. So it's kind of interesting that I have these, and if nothing else, just to kind of look back at what was. Now, granted, the show is still going to be available on DVD, I'm sure. It's not like we're not going to be able to watch it. But still, it's all very interesting, and how it plays into the video game realm with these. There's a PlayStation 2 Dukes of Hazzard game that I'm looking into as well. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, whether these values are affected as the months and years pass. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows? The games are pretty bad, though. The only good thing about the games is that they got a lot of the original cast to come back. John Schneider, Tom Wopat, Catherine Bach, James Best, who's Roscoe P. Coltrane, one of my favorite characters of all time, Waylon Jennings. So it's really cool to hear those people reprising their roles. even if some of the voice acting is phoned in. But that's really the best part of these. So, yeah. But not very good games. Okay, this is Fighting Force. This is going to be something I'm bringing to Retro World Expo with me, either as bartering or maybe just to give away. I don't know. This is a second copy of this. And the reason I bought a second copy was because I thought that my original copy was defective. And it turns out it was my system that was defective. The PS1 that I got from the PET, the NES Punk Volume 4 Indiegogo, Indie went bye-bye. So, and I found that out because I got an older PlayStation model from Retro Games Plus, and it ran my original Fighting Force just fine. So I don't need this anymore, so this will be trade bait or giveaway bait or something at Retro World Expo in October. So good news for you, not so good news for me, but whatever. Here's another YouTube personality, YouTube show suggestion. This is Disney's Hercules, which I originally saw via JonTron when he did an entire video based on Hercules video games. This game actually is not bad. Now, I passed over this because I'm not a Disney guy at all. But shame on me, because the graphics are really good, the animation is fantastic, the voice talent is there, and the game is just fun to play. Not all that difficult, but then again, not head-bangingly frustrating either. So thanks to JonTron for putting this in his video and turning me onto it. I'm glad that I bought it. Speaking of bonehead moves and stuff that I wasn't interested in initially, this is Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. Now, this game I did buy when it originally came out in 1996. Game magazines were in love with it. And I'm like, all right, well, if the game magazines like it, that's what you did back then. Internet was still kind of a rare thing back then, and I didn't have a PC or access to a PC. So when game magazines say that a game's pretty good, you bought it because you trusted them. And I just did not understand what the appeal of this game was. It looked cool. I mean, sucking blood and the whole vampire theme was interesting, but I never understood the gameplay. The idea of exploration just didn't do a lot for me at the time, and I traded it away within 2 weeks. But I kept hearing about it, and obviously the Legacy of Kain series has spawned sequel after sequel since 1996, so when I saw it, I gave it another shot, and wouldn't you know it, spending more time with it, a light bulb went off in my head. Something just clicked, and I thought the game was great. It's something that I do want to spend more time with over the coming weeks and months. So I'm glad that I found this. Thanks to Retro Games Plus for having it in stock. You guys are great. Okay, I'm not going to show you this yet because you're going to boo me. So go ahead, limber up, and when I point, not yet. When I point after I count down from 3, you can boo all you want when I show you what it is. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, boo. Yes, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Good, bring it on. I probably deserve it. Yes, that says 1995 on it. Go ahead and boo louder. Okay, stop. Let me explain why I bought this game, or at least give you my take on it. I admit that the game is flawed. Very flawed. If you've watched any YouTube video on it at all, Game Informer did a pretty funny Let's Play on this as part of their replay series. It's got problems. Boy, does it have problems. But the reason that I got it is because the concept is novel. Taking a fighting game and turning it into an adventure game or a platform game was a really cool idea. Taking you and putting you in the role of Sub-Zero and exploring more of the Mortal Kombat universe was, I thought, a really good idea. Now, granted, there were games that did this better. For example, and I just had it here and I lost it. Ah, there it is. So, yeah, there we go. So, for example, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks really nails the idea of being a brawler, but at the same time opening it up so you can explore the Mortal Kombat universe and implementing some of the Mortal Kombat fighting ideas into the game. This did this right, if you ask me, minus the full motion video stuff, which I love. So I got this based on concept and out of crazy curiosity for what the game is like. Now, how have I done in playing it? Well, I've been terrible at it, to be quite honest. I have not done very well. I have not progressed very far, but still, I'm glad I got it because it's been on my want list for the last 2 years. And to finally find it, especially in good shape like I did, I had to get it. You have to forgive my voice. I'm starting to lose it a little bit here. I've had to do multiple takes because stuff around the house has been going on that have affected my takes. And you know how it is when you shoot unscripted and you don't know how to edit. You just have to get everything in on one take and hope it all goes well. This is Namco Museum Volume 3. This is the second of these that I have. The second, not the third, second that I have. This is Volume 3. This has Galaxian, Ms. Pac-Man, Pole Position 2, Dig Dug, Phozon, and the Tower of Druaga on it. Here's the Tower of Druaga hint book. This was $5.95, and I thought that it was a worthy get. Again, I have Volume 1, which has Galaga and Bosconian and Rally X and a couple of other things on it. All 5 of the Namco Museum volumes for the PlayStation are really good gets, though, because it's not just the games that are included. It's a lot of the history of the games, looking at the game PCBs, flyers, artwork, hints. Some of the stat tracking for the games is really awesome. It really keeps the museum aspect, whereas later Namco Museum compilations were more about the games and less about the history, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I have Volume 1, I have Volume 3, I need 2, 4, and 5, and those, of course, are the most expensive, so whether I'll ever get those is anybody's guess. I have not played Roll Cage yet. I'm hoping to do so in the near future. Actually, I take that back. I played it for like 10 minutes one day, like a week ago. This doesn't have the soundtrack, just the limited edition disc in it. It's an interesting concept, I'll give it that. The game's fast. The racers being able to turn 360 degrees around is kind of a cool idea. But I have to play this more to really give you a better review on it. This is Rugrats Studio Tour, which I bought mainly because I loved Search for Reptar so much, and I was looking for something else. Studio Tour is more a collection of mini games rather than an overarching story that ties it all together. Granted, there is a story talking about them being in Hollywood, but I got this more from 90s nostalgia and Rugrats nostalgia than anything else. And it plays okay. Not great, but okay. This is Streak Hoverboard Racing, which is from GT Interactive and developed by Single Track Studios, who did Rogue Trip, which was basically an unofficial sequel to Twisted Metal. I remember reading about this in Game Informer, and I remember seeing it when I worked at Funko Land, but I never really paid it any time of day. And to be honest, I still haven't played this yet. But when I saw it, it just felt like something I should have because I used to see it so damn much. So when I play it, I'll let you know what I think of it. But right now, I have no opinion other than the fact that the concept is cool. Just a couple of more games to show. This is Vanishing Point from Acclaim. I played this on the Dreamcast originally. I haven't played the PlayStation version yet. Obviously, it's going to suffer in quality. Arcade racers are becoming more and more difficult to come across. So getting a game like this with its unique racing style and kind of how it was... It seemed like it was almost a cross between, I guess, between Ridge Racer and Metropolis Street Racer, I guess. It was kind of a novel idea. But I don't really know a lot about it just yet. I need to play it on the PlayStation again when I get time and formulate a better opinion. But when I saw it, considering how more uncommon arcade racers are starting to get, I wanted to grab it. Whew. And last but certainly not least, this is Wargames DEFCON 1, which really doesn't have much to do with the movie at all, except for the fact that the two factions are NORAD versus the Whopper. But this feels more like Return Fire than anything else, and that can't be a bad thing, because Return Fire is one hell of a game. It's also expensive. But basically, you just can assume any number of amount of units that you start with, and you have to accomplish objectives over on the enemy side of the field, whether it's destroying certain structures or certain vehicles, or protecting your own. I wish it had more to do with the movie, to be honest. It would be cool to have something more to do with the movie, but it doesn't, and that's okay. Especially for $6, I can live with it. So that is everything. That catches you up I don't know the next time I'm going to be going game hunting, but if I do go game hunting at all in the month of July, I will save those for August when I do another update video. What to expect as far as updates? Let me close with this. A lot of it's going to depend on my recovery. I'm hoping to get, this video will be uploaded today, so today's July 2nd. So I'll get this uploaded by tonight. The next consolation video will hopefully be next week. I have an idea of something that I want to write for Retroware. Unfortunately, when I was going to be writing for them, that's when I got stricken. So I owe them something. I'll be writing something for them, hopefully within the next week or two. The Summer of PlayStation column that I wrote over there really didn't fare well in terms of traffic or reaction. So I think I'm going to go back to more general stuff rather than continuing the theme over there. So stay tuned for what that content will be. I'll be working on a new piece for Hit the Pass in the next week or two as well. That'll be sports game related, and I don't want to give too much away on that because then you won't want to read it. But know that it's going to be sports game related, so if you like sports games like I do, you're going to want to check out that site anyway. And if not, even if you'll check out my work, I would really appreciate that. And as far as the Consolation.com site, I did post the PD Awards, which was my summary of E3 in total, which kind of stood in for making a video. I hope that you go and check that out, and I will try and put something up on Consolation over the weekend. Something tells me I'm going to be writing about Final Fantasy VII and the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I don't want to say anything more at this point, other than the fact that I have an idea in mind that I just have to set in front of the computer and do it. So that's what's going on from here. That gets you caught up on everything. As always, I thank you very much for taking the time to check out my work. Please be sure to check out my friends that I've mentioned here in the video. My friend Russ Lyman's channel, my friend Joe Walker's channel, JonTron, of course, you probably have him subbed already. And then, of course, Cinemassacre and James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. Thanks to all of them for being not only inspirational, but for giving me lots of confidence to do what I do. Because without them shooting videos and me watching them, I don't have the confidence to get in front of the camera and talk to everybody like I am now, especially with just an iPad camera and a not very well lit bedroom. So that's what's going on. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Have yourself a great 4th of July weekend for those that celebrate it. And until the next time, my friends, take care.